To the Matthews monthly safety drumbeat for May. As I just said, I'm recording this and I will put it on the YouTube channel and get information out to everybody after the call. For today's call, we actually have two guests. So we've got Jared Carter, Director of Sales from Olfa Safety Cutters. That'll be presenting first. And then we have Todd Waldhauser, Director of Sales for Portacool, that will join after Jared has wrapped up. So, Jared, I am going to pass it over to you. The floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So I'll share my screen here, and we'll just kind of do a little bit of a quick intro to our products. Um, so just a quick summary, little history on Olfa. Olfa's actually been around since 1956. They were the inventor of the very first snap-off utility knife in the early 50s, and then they are also the first inventor of the rotary cutters in the 70s, and actually, which is more relevant to your conversation today, is the very first safety cutters that came out in the mid-90s. So we've been doing safety knives for a very long time, but now there's a classification, and we're going to expand a little bit on that today as well too. What I'm going to do is give you some insight of what's coming throughout the industry, primarily geared towards around the a new ANSI standard that is going to be implemented through ISEA on safety knives. So we're actually going to be able to classify and break down what a true safety knife is, and to help better communicate and better understand what's the right safety knife for your applications, your environments, as well to moving into a more structured capacity. Primary reason why we're doing this is because the majority of the safety knives in the industry, there's a very broad, a very broad explanation. So when you ask what a safety knife is, most people don't understand, or really realize the variety of what a safety knife truly is. We're going to define that in this application. So I'll discuss that a little bit today. Also kind of go through some product application standpoints as well too, from safety knives and practical applications that we can do, work with you as well too. So drop down to my next screen here if it's going to let me. I apologize. Actually, sorry, it's the other way here. So there we go. So our markets within our products, again, specifying different applications. As you can see, our product goes into a very large array of different products within those areas of what they can do and how they can do things in different applications. So safety knives are very broadly used in many different applications in different environments as well. So I'm going to drop down here to my next screen. Here's a little short analysis kind of why safety knives have become critical within the industry, and now why we're putting applications to them as far as trying to classify them as well too. A lot of this data is very familiar if you are doing any type of lacerations when it comes to cut gloves. A lot of this is the very same data because, as you, I'm sure you know, safety knives go hand in hand with cut gloves as well too. So depending on the application environment, if you're using any type of a sharp instrument, you should be wearing some type of cut level gloves. So this is just a little summary of what lacerations are costing the industry today, and what we are trying to do to hinder that application as well. So as you see, it's a very costly application from a huge variety of different things. Average cost is about $23,000 per claim. Ours are a little bit, this data, one thing it does not include, which we've unfortunately had to face in the industry, believe it or not, there actually has been some fatalities tied to safety knives, believe it or not. Not likely, luckily, I'm sorry, but not within our product category, with our company, but within the industry, and this is why, again, it's a standard we're trying to work through and push forward with, was a laceration exposed safety knife. An employee was coming off a cut, spun around with the blade exposed, actually happened to catch a colleague walking by in the neck and actually severed a main artery, which unfortunately caused that employee to pass away. So there has been, unfortunately, fatalities tied to safety knives. So it's an extreme rare situation, but everything we try to do is hinder and to mitigate as much, much damage, of course, as possible within that. So just a quick summary of why this is safety knives are becoming more and more critical within the industry, and what we're doing to kind of prevent that. So what we're looking at doing, and this is actually a kind of a precursor of what the standard's going to be roughly looking like from ISEA, which is writing standards for ANSI. I'm actually on the committee, so I'm fairly familiar with this, and that's why I have the structured outline that's being proposed right now. Timelines we don't know quite yet, but we're still in the initial phase, but roughly it's going to be broken down into a 3-phase category. Starting out, we want to try and keep it very simple industry, so it's very easy for one to implement, to understand, and to manage as well too. As you know, some of the ANSI standards that OSHA comes in and regulates get very, very complicated. We're trying to start this off with a very simplistic form. Level 1 to a level 3, which 1 is being safe and level 3 being the safest application. I'm going to define these classifications real quick for you as well too, so you can understand the demographics and why. Within the first category, we call it our semi-automatic. And this is going to apply to not only our product, but across the industry as well too. Semi-automatic is a spring-loaded retractable knife. That spring-loaded retractable, as long as your thumb's on that trigger, that blade will stay exposed. So that's why it's considered a semi-automatic, is because as long as there's tension on the blade or your thumb engaged, that blade will stay exposed. This is the most common type of safety knife used in the industry, very well accepted, very well versed. Unfortunately, there is a challenge that a lot of people aren't trained properly, and they keep the thumb on the trigger, which, as I mentioned, the fatality was caused by a semi-automatic retractor because the person did not take their thumb off the trigger once coming off the cut. So, but that has been the first and foremost. It's the largest category within the industry by far. As you see, our little SK4 right up at the top is the #1 selling safety knife in the industry and has been since the mid-90s. As I mentioned, we brought it out. We've been doing safety knives, safety retractor utility knives for a very, very long time. So, of course, we hold a very good category within that. As the industry had transitioned, we had people that, again, refused to take the thing out the thumb trigger, or they would actually tape the trigger open to make it a fully sorry about this, fully retractable knife, so they'd actually make it into a fixed blade. So we actually went through and developed what we call our fully automatic retractables, which is classified as will be classified as a level 2, and that's what we call a tension retractable. So what happens is once you apply tension to the blade, an activation point comes and engages. As soon as the tension is disengaged off it, that blade will either retract, or we actually have one that engages a guard on the product. So that way it doesn't matter if the employee has their thumb on the trigger or not. Once it's engaged in the cut and it comes off at a tension point, that product will disengage. So from a safety standpoint, very, very designed for people not paying attention to that application. So we structured that very well within that category. I will tell you there is a challenge within that category, because if you're working with anything that has an influx of tension points, for example, shrink wrap. Shrink wrap is a very inconsistent surface, and the blade will disengage when it hits that inconsistency. So if you're trying to open a pallet of shrink wrap within that, it's probably one of the most frustrating tools you ever use, and the person using it gets extremely frustrated, and that's when you start running into issues with compliance, because they'll throw it away and they'll pull out their pocket knife and use things that they're not supposed to be using that application. So understanding that the limitations of what the full retractables are really good for, great for corrugated boxes, great for a consistent, like a film, a straight film application, foils, papers, extremely well for that application. Anything outside of that has, as I mentioned, inconsistent, very limited, very frustrating tool to get to build compliance on and expand that category within. So just understand that component there. Then we break down into what we call our level 3, which is our concealed blade, which is considered the safest of all 3 levels, which is why it's the highest level. As you can see, this also correlates with the safety gloves as well too. So, I don't think we'll ever get to a level 9 safety when it comes to safety knives, but we will definitely hash out and get into deeper categories within this, maybe a level 3A, depending on the type of products and type of blade configurations as well. But currently we're going to start out with a standard concealed blade. which is a level 3. This is actually one of the fastest growing categories because this also not only addresses the concealed blade application, so you have zero exposed blades. The employee doesn't have to touch the blades with a couple of the products as well too. Very fast, very efficient. What this also comes into play as well too, though, is it also protects the material in the products that they're not supposed to be cutting. As you can tell, the other two categories above, you have an exposed blade. So that exposed blade will not only cut through the box or the shrink wrap, but it also has a tendency to cut the product as well. So it could damage additional material. A lot of companies, they track safety, from lacerations, recordables. A lot of them don't track damaged products. That's another piece and component that we take in consideration when you're looking at a concealed blade. That concealed blade will only cut what you want it to cut. So it's going to preserve the product, protect the employee, but also extends the longevity of the knife as well too. So you'll actually get a longer cut cycle out of these particular products, because within that CAD sector, all you're cutting is the material that's tied to it. So it's again a cost savings feature that we tie into those. So breaking down those categories, the concealed blade is the fastest growing category by far within the market. It's definitely tied primarily to our newer product, which is on the top right there, our SK16. That is one, that product is designed for heavy duty, very large applications, heavy duty applications. So from a double corrugate to reinforced shrink wrap, to ram board, to water membrane, to visqueen, you name it, it's designed to cut heavier application, has a much wider cut channel within the product as well. That is designed to really expand out the application usage of that product. Up until this point, there's been a very small cut channel within our SK10 or even with the SK15. SK15 is a disposable, so once that blade wears out, you can dispose of it. The SK16 actually is a replaceable head, and I'll show you that here in a minute. Advantage is once that plate comes out, it's still protected from the guard, so it also still protects the employees, which some of the other products designed within that category area does not pick that piece up, and so there's been some injuries recorded with trying to swap out the blades within those. So ultimately, what we do is based on this category and these classifications, what we're trying to do is increase the productivity of the employee using the product. If we can do that, you can increase your compliance. That means the employees are going to be actually like to use the product. So that means you're going to have an increased compliance, which is again less than your recordables because they're actually using the right product for the right application. So we can actually show that. Plus, it's going to work more effectively, more efficiently with them. So from an end user standpoint, they love using the product because it's the right product for the right application. Production loves it and the production managers love it because their people are working faster, more effective, more efficient. And from a safety standpoint, they're actually doing it in compliance and in a safe manner as well too. So we look to bring that entire value proposition in with these categories, and we break those down. So we also offer, breaking into this as well too, we have started one micro section within the what we like to, we're looking at as well too, which is called our NSF certification. We do have products that are NSF certified for a fruit grade application as well, which our top one is our SK14. That is classified as the previous page as a semi-retractable. That's most commonly used any type of metal detectability, food processing applications as well. And the biggest thing is it can be sanitized, cleaned. It's all stainless steel, runs around a tip for safety applications as well too. So that one right there is designed as the ultimate one. As you can see, all of our product is tetherable as well too. So there's a lot of standards come in where people want to tether the product. We've been able to engage that, so everything is designed for that tether application. So within the certifications, we also break into what our again is our SK15 is NSF certified, but it is not metal detectable within the application. And then we also have added now recently our PK1, which is a little bag splitter. You just squeeze and slice. Very economic, very efficient for anybody opening lots of bags of different applications. One additional feature that we do offer from a manufacturer standpoint is we do offer on-site safety audits as well too. What this includes is us coming in, evaluating your process, where you're using knives, where you're using any type of exposed blades, and trying to offer a better solution from an application standpoint. This is not geared to pitch our product by any means. It's geared to identify liability if you have applications where people are using exposed knives, and we can provide a better solution, whether we break them into those 3 categories or even go away from a knife in total and you integrate a rotary blade or some other application. But we can provide that in a documentation. The other advantage from a customer standpoint as well too is what we do is we provide that. So in an application where you only can use a certain knife, we have some customers that have to use a 12-inch blade, a fixed blade. Unfortunately, with that 12-inch fixed blade, we don't offer applications, and the products we offer don't fit their practical application purpose to utilize these. So by doing that, we're now being forced to provide that value proposition to them. And what we do is we document it, and then of course with partnering with the Grainger team, they also can offer, okay, if we have to utilize that, we'll implement a cut glove with this, a cut sleeve as well too, and then that's a documented process that is, if there are any type of issues, lacerations or things, and you have a recordable, you have the documentation in place that you've done your due diligence, this is the process they should be following if there's a deviation from that, if OSHA is called in or something to that effect as well too. So those are the things that we can provide that goes above and beyond to provide that value proposition within the product. So that's a quick summary, breaking down the products real quick so I can identify those for you. Again, the top within the semi-retractable category, again, is our SK4. That is the most universal. One thing to mention, all of our product is ambidextrous, so it can be used left or right. So to turn to left-handed, it literally just pull the blade out, flip it over, and it now becomes a left-handed product. So that also applies to different applications. The SK4, again, is, as I mentioned, is our top mover within the category. Our SK9 is an addition. The biggest advantage of that is it has a pry pick on the back side, so by utilizing that, they can use it for anything that they're not supposed to use the blade for within the application as well. Our SK67 is a compact version, so it's a very small one. So if there's smaller applications, whether somebody doesn't need that big of a knife or a limited cut depth as well too, it's a very compact version as well too that we run within that category as well too. So as we break those down, those are our main classifications within that. As we mentioned, our self-retracting, this now classifies into our full retractables. And our fully automatics, which is our level 2 as well too. Our SK6, as you can see, engages a guard. Once that tension is engaged, that guard will come out, run along the guide of it, and once it disengages, only way to disengage the guard is actually disengage the blade and reset it. So again, safety features tied into that. This is designed for a limited cut depth as well too. That's why it has a flat nose tip, great for topping boxes and opening up things that are not required, that you don't want to damage the interior of the product if a concealed blade option doesn't work. Another way we do is our fully retractable is within our SK8 version as well too. This is designed, again, same tension point, blade disengages once it disengages within the product. Then we start into our concealed blade. So the SK10 has been one of our top concealed blade cutters, phenomenal shrink wrap cutter. Drawback is it doesn't do cardboard. Because of that application is why we brought out the other 2 products. Another drawback with this blade as well too, as to identify, as you see in the lower picture, you have to touch the blade to swap it out. So again, this is original. This is one of the first ones. It's done phenomenally well within the category. But to me personally, I want to get away. We've wanted to get away from touching the blade entirely from a safety standpoint, because we do have lacerations reported from people changing their blades in their safety knives. So again, those are things that come into play when we're trying to increase productivity and decrease the liability from your standpoint. We break into, and then we go into the safety knife. This is drop down. This is again tied into that food grade application. Stainless steel, metal detectable, spring loaded, rounded tip on the stainless piece, double locking mechanisms within that so that blade doesn't come disengaged. Very easy to swap out. One thing you'll notice as well too within all of our products, there's no tools used to swap the blades out. Everything is toolless for flipping the blades out. Very fast, very effective, efficient as well too. Again, increasing the productivity and the functionality of the user as well. So again, breaking into our concealed, this is again our disposable concealed blade cutter. Phenomenally well, very compact, slides in the back of a pocket, utilized in many applications. A lot of employees, we use this for a lot of temp employees as well too, because if they lose it, It's not a whole lot of money as well too. So a lot of people like this. Unfortunately, if somebody's cutting all day long and using a concealed blade cutter within that, it does ergonomically does not fit very well with hands. It's just within that same category. Any type of disposable concealed blade cutter in the industry is designed that way. They're very lightweight, very thin, and great for just light to medium use applications. As we rolled into it, we identified that the heavy-duty applications had a missing void, which is why we introduced this product. It's only been out for about a year and a half now. This is designed for your heavy-duty applications, your double corrugate, your heavy-duty shrink wrap, as I mentioned, ram board, bunch of different applications within the product category. Very great for shrink wrap, banding, strapping, any type of plastic stranding works extremely well within those applications as well. And it's very ergonomically comfortable to the hand. So if somebody's using this all day long, it's definitely very, from an ergonomic standpoint, is designed for that longer use, heavier use as well too. If if you have an employee that's abusing the products and very rough on the product, it's designed to handle that as well too. But also somebody that doesn't have a whole lot of body strength as well too, and has to cut through heavier product. The speed and efficiency of the cut is much faster, more effective as well too. So from a stress and strain standpoint, it takes a lot less tension to pull those products through the category, through the materials. So, and then as mentioned, our little bag splitter, extremely fast, extremely efficient, just a squeeze and slice. A very simple product, but works extremely well in the proper applications. If you have an application where you actually open and split and open bags as well too. So what we do is we classify all these down. Highlights within this, I can provide this as well too over to Amanda, and she can supply this as well too. But based on these documentations, we actually go through and actually apply the features and benefits of each one, how they're broken down, material cut, the depth, things as well too. So it's better and easy to help classify the right product for the right application as well too. And then we provide our backup knives. So one thing, we do have proprietary knives within our blades as well. Reason being, it's a liability standpoint. We've had people try to put inferior product and blades, cheaper blades in our products, which aren't designed the same way, and they fracture, they break down, and the blade will possibly break, which again applies to a liability on our standpoint. So our product designed specifically for our products. Not to mention, we do make the sharpest blades in the industry. We've touted that since 1956. Our founder was literally working in a sword factory when he invented the very first snap-off knife, and that sharpness and quality of blade has been instilled into the company for 70 plus years. So that's something that we take a lot of pride in, is the speed and efficiency of our cuts, because of the quality of the steel that we do utilize within those. We also break it down and show the different variations that tied within the reference point. As I mentioned, with our interchangeable heads for our SK16, as you can see, it has an additional blade guard. So once that blade comes out and disengages from the top to replace it, it's still protected. A lot of competitors in the industry have designed their products. When that blade comes out, there's an exposed blade on the interior, and when they're ripping those out, pulling those out, they are flaying their fingers. If it gets caught, it actually will take off the top of the fingers flace, which is causing recordables as well. We've designed that so even when that blade is outside of the knife, there is zero exposure they can access to that open blade. And then we do have a resource guide. So we have cut sheets, videos, websites, everything's tied to that as well too, so we can support everything within that functionality for you guys. And that is a wrap. That's what I have today. If you have any questions and things as well too, more than free to support the team. We do have our reps in the area as well too, our One Solution team, which is very well versed within our products. It can support for any additional information and things as well too. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jared. I appreciate it. Guys, if there's any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. As Jared said, One Solution reps Olfa. One Solution also reps Portacool, who will be presenting next. So good one-stop shop for you guys if there is, on-site support that's needed. That's kind of your first line of defense, is reaching out to your local One Solution rep for the Grainger sellers on the line. But Jared, it looks like there's no questions, so I will let you go. Thank you so much for jumping on today. Have a good rest of the day, okay?
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.
Thanks, you too. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Todd, are you out there?
Yes, I am. So,
Awesome. Well, very, very timely presentation today with Portacool. I know it's getting us here in Maryland, so wanted to invite Portacool on to present to you guys as well. So Todd, the floor is yours.
all right, thank you. All right. Well, definitely, good morning to everybody. Thank you for having me on this call today. And as Amanda said, the timing could not be better as we start moving into the hotter temperatures, the heat stress, heat stroke, heat exhaustion, type opportunities that are out there that employees are facing, and we look at how do we provide that heat stress solution to them. So Portacool, we've been in business over 30 years, manufacturer of portable evaporative cooling fans. And we'll talk a little bit about, what this product can do, how it can provide a safer environment, and how it really moves into the overall strategy of your safety plan and pushes forward to that process with your employees day in and day out. So when we look at our Jetstream lineup, four products that fit into this marketplace, and they range anywhere from 700 square feet to over 5,600 square feet of cooling. What's great about the Portacool models is that all of them actually work the same exact way. And I'll show a video of how that actually works. But in the end of the day, we're evaporating water and providing a cooler breeze into that environment. Now, this will not put out a mist, so it will not get anything wet, floors, equipment, products. So we're not creating any type of slip, trip hazard into those environments. You just have that air blowing through, and you're now creating up to 30 degrees cooler air through the evaporative coolers. You can see the two smaller ones. Those do have adjustable and oscillating louvers. Those are going to be for smaller workspaces, individual type areas, or tight areas that you're tight on space. Our two larger models, those are going to be your axial driven, fan blade driven, and provide for your larger areas, shops, warehouses, shipping facilities, areas that you're looking to move volumes of air down large areas and provide cooling across those spaces. Your airflow on that is going to be up to about 50 feet, so you're cooling a large wide area for those spots from there. All of these are variable speed, so you can adjust the fans up down as you want to. And not only can they be used with the water as an evaporative cooler, but also they can be utilized without the water and just as a high velocity fan. So you're actually having two products in one when you look at this. So this can be utilized in our heat of the summer, but also into other months where you're trying to move air. Maybe you're not wanting to be cool, but you're trying to move air to that facility onto those employees. So this is actually a 2-for-1 product lineup from there. 3-year warranty on the electrical and lifetime warranty on the molded housing from any defects. So stand behind the product for what we've been doing for over 30 years. So we kind of look at, what is that value? Why looking at a Portacool, what can that do? And I'll really hit on two areas, the safety and the liability. How do we provide a safer work environment? How do we, reduce those risks? And also on the liability, how do we make sure that those employees leave the day the same way they came in the morning? And that's what we want to make sure. When they come in the morning, they leave the same way at night. They're safe, secure, and their safety value. The second one is also productivity and performance. How do we help these employees continue their performance, continue their productivity in hot, stressful environments? Well, if we can lower that temperature and provide that relief, now they can do their job more comfortably, without hesitation, without extra breaks, and we can increase that productivity, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So productivity and performance, and I will touch on one last one just because I think it really hits home, is that whole life and comfort enhancing. We want to make sure when that employee comes in the day, when they leave the same way at night, they're able to go home to their families, their activities, their outside activities, and be able to enjoy them, be able to enjoy that family, be able to do things so that they're not so heat stressed that they're not able to do that. We feel that employees that can do that are better employees when they come to work the next day, and culture and in their overall satisfaction of their job. A little video on evaporative cooling and also on just the Jetstream series.
Hey Todd, I think your internet might be a little bit slow. Could you try maybe turning the camera off and seeing if that gets us anywhere?
Sure.
Yeah, we can't see the video.
Okay. All right. I'll move past the video from there.
Yeah, if you want to just
But
send
this
a link
slide will
to,
actually,
if you want to send a link to the video, that would be great, and I can get it out to everybody.
sure, absolutely. So I'll send that out for both of them. The next one is a little bit shorter, so I'll see if that'll work from that side. Thank you. But the video was going to show is the overall lineup of that Portacool, but this actually will give you the idea. So evaporative cooling, again, we're lowering that ambient temperature by 30 degrees, energy efficient, natural process. We're just exchanging heat. We're pulling the hot air through the back of the evaporative media, and we're evaporating that water and putting off that cooler, more refresher air, into that environment. So not only is it a cooler air, it's also a more refreshed air over those employees. So a lot of times what their feel like temperature is actually more than what the Portacool is actually lowering the temperature. And that's what we're really trying to accomplish, is making these employees feel better, more comfortable, more energy, less errors, less downtime in their overall business. So we'll see if this video plays. This will actually give you a quick video on just that whole process of evaporative cooling.
Hey Todd, it looks like it's frozen. Oh, it's
Yeah,
just very delayed.
yeah, yeah. It just looks so.
Yeah, it's just a
But what
little
we had talked about,
jumpy.
it just shows that, yeah, yeah, that air coming through. So again, but no mist, no water, is emitted. You do want to use your portacools with open environment, natural airflow exhaust fans, wall shutter. You can use them into outside facilities as well. So any place that you're experiencing heat stress, as long as you have some type of air movement, you're able to utilize the product line out there. Couple of insights just overall on heat. Heat is the leading cause of weather-related fatalities in the U.S. year over year. 90% of these occur May through September. So we are right into this area in these months where these are actually becoming issues. And when you look at that, 70% of these deaths were men. Then you say, well, why is that? Well, a lot of times we think we can do more than what we can. We push ourselves to do more than we can. So a lot of these, can be mitigated with the Portacool, with providing a cooler environment where these workers are happening. So definitely keep that into mind. Again, cooler, better performance, safer environment across the board. And I put this up here, when we look at, people say, well, evaporative cooling may not work in, Florida or high humid areas. And I wanted to put this chart up there that evaporative cooling with Portacool works across the world. We distribute our products throughout the world, and you can see whether it's a warm and humid environment or hot and dry, you're going to lower that ambient temperature and provide that relief. So no matter if you're into South Carolina, Phoenix, Baltimore, or into Denver, Colorado, we have a way to lower that ambient temperature and provide relief. Now, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is provide comfort. Everybody out here knows what comfort is. Comfort is different to different people, but everybody can understand what comfort is. And that's what we're trying to provide, a comfort to employees in a cost efficient and effective manner. When we look at the safety side, and this, this actually comes from the safety pays estimator from OSHA. When you start looking at your liability, your compliance, and your cost, when you have an accident, your direct cost, your indirect cost, you're looking at almost an $80,000 cost to the company when you start having these accidents. So it's really a number of how do you, mitigate this, and how do you provide a better environment on the front side that you're not having these costs on the backside. We also talked about performance, and it also comes into profitability. At the end of the day, you're losing over 16% of your performance when temperatures are at 92 degrees. 92 degrees is almost probably every day to a lot of facilities. So we're losing almost 17% of our performance every single day. And again, when we look at the profitability of an organization, the performance, employee callouts, retention, attraction of employees, but also the brand integrity. We want to make sure that everything being done supports the brand and drives the brand and doesn't have any negative effects onto it. So I think that's a big thing when you look at. Also on employee callouts, we see a number of our customers, if they're tracking that through HR, that they see those employee callouts start to rise in that May through September timeframe as those temperatures start to increase as well. How do we mitigate that? How do we provide a better environment? How do we cut those call rates out? Also, just another slide when you start looking at cost of onboarding employee. When you look at anything into a manufacturing production facility, a 90-day period is costing about $6,000 for a company to onboard an employee. We are a manufacturer ourselves in East Texas, and this is really from our HR department. A lot of areas are more than what we are saying, but this is actually pulled from our resources, and it just starts looking at your recruitment, training, the integration, pulled resources for these employees, and just overall screenings. So when you start looking at $6,000 per employee over a 90-day period to onboard them and get them ready, and then all of a sudden that employee says, well, hey, it's too hot, it's not an environment I want to work in, it's more than I thought. It's a cost that we can help mitigate, and actually, on the front side, purchasing the Portacools can actually help those employees stay longer than 90 days. Maybe the next 10 years. We wouldn't know that. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we provided an opportunity for those employees to be successful at that company. And, when you start looking at that, well, these are all great numbers, but is there a way to quantify it? Our director of finance, our CFO, they would like to see, if we're going to spend X dollars, what is that return and how fast is that return? Well, we actually have a chart. It's actually listed onto the Portacool website. It's for anybody to go onto. And all it is that you actually can put your direct information in: city, state, zip code. All the data is historical data, so you can select a start and end date, put in how many employees are at your facility, their hourly wage, how many hours. And when you submit that, you will actually get back a result chart. And it will actually say how many dollars you're losing to heat and your productivity you're losing through heat. This can actually be emailed results where you actually get more detailed charts that you can share with your team to actually see, here is what this heat is costing us, in this time period. And when you start looking at these numbers, it really, brings out that, investing in Portacool on the front side will really help you on the back side and into the future, not just on productivity, on safety, but also on profitability and in the overall, benefit to those employees into your overall culture. So when I look at that, portable evaporative coolers, we provide an efficient, effective cooling where traditional methods such as AC are impractical or cost prohibitive or unavailable to areas that temperature reduction is in need. So with that, I want to thank you for your time, your energy. Are there any questions, anything that was missed, anything that you would like me to expand upon?
Hey Todd, I was just curious on lead times. Is I know, sometimes in the summer we run up against lead times on these things. Is everything readily available through Grainger?
Yes, yes. So the product is in the Grainger DCs. All the products that I showed are all red booked, so they are ready for ordering and ready for shipment.
Awesome. Anybody else have any questions for Todd? Awesome. Well, Todd, if you can get me that presentation, as well as the videos and that tool that you were talking about, I think that's really cool. I'll get that out to everybody. And we'll also get this recording on our YouTube channel. So thank you, Todd,
All
and
right.
thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the day.
Take care. Thank you.